scale it. So the first step that you always need to do is being, observant and look for problem statements. The reason we started Mitigator was not because we were passionate about certain things. It was more from coming in directly from a problem statement that we faced as a customer, and then we kept on solving for that, right?
Where we invite startup co-founders to share their journey, insights, and some sort of advice for the youngsters who have startup dreams. Well, today we have Mr. Sarthak Dubey, who is one of the co-founders from Mitigator. Hi, Sarthak. How are you doing today?
Hi, Supan. I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
Great, Sarthak. First of all, I would love to welcome you on behalf of the entire Tracxn family, and thank you so much for making some time out of your busy schedule. Well, my name is Supan Dasgupta. I am heading the entire startup vertical over here. So now let's get started with this sort of interaction. So where do you see yourself in another 12 months down the line? Anything exciting for us to know?
No, absolutely. I mean, so there are quite a lot of things happening. I mean, at this point of time, we are growing exponentially fast. Onboarding over 3 customers on a daily basis, and been working with a lot of enterprises as well. With respect to our own AI SOC analyst, which is the new product launch that's going to happen. That is something which is planned in a couple of months' time. And then there are quite a lot of other product plans that we have in the pipeline as well. At the same time, our offering are cybersecurity monitoring, dark web, and brand monitoring related offerings, and the rest of the offerings that we have are going to be launched along with our product. Quite a lot of new things happening. TPTP is here in India at this point of time. So transformation around for a lot of businesses is going to take place in terms of cybersecurity, cyber resilience, and how compliant they are with respect to regulations. So we are complying with regulations. We are working with the regulator. We are working with the government as well. We are working with the defense forces as well, in order to make the companies, the business, and eventually the nation more cyber resilience. We call ourselves the first line of defense of digital India, right? So next 12 months will be focused on building that. At the same time, we are also building one of the largest SOC centers in India as well. So there are much more and much larger things which are going to happen in the next 12 months for us, and it will be just at the scale that probably is going to solve the problem for cyber insurance, cyber security, and cyber resilience for the entire country at once.
Wonderful. Great to hear that, Sarthak. Now, one thing what I normally ask a lot of early stage co-founders is, regarding the fundraise journey, right? That's something which is quite tricky and very interesting. I can see that very recently in 2025, you have got yourself funded, right? And I would love to hear a little bit about the backstory of this fundraise journey. How did it start? What was the trigger for you that you decided to go for funding for the first time? And what was the trigger for the previous time?
Yeah. So essentially, I mean, because like I said that, this is the second company that we ran, and we raised funding for the last company as well. There was one thing which was very clear after we scaled and after we pivoted, was to make sure that we are running and we are scaling the company, where we have a lot of revenue inflow coming in, a lot of, cash inflow coming in altogether as well, right? So our focus has always been to scale the company, grow the company, in a more profitable way, especially over the last couple of years, how exactly the things have been going on in the startup ecosystem. Fundraise itself for us at all the time was an inbound request coming in from investors itself, right? We did not go out talking to investors and pitching them separately. It was more of an inbound interest that came in from a few investors, went through the business, understood the business, and with quite a lot of offers and quite a lot of opportunities, we picked the investor who actually understood the business very well, because we are a more complex business and we have a very complex business model combining security, insurance. No one has done that in India before, right? This is a very category creation space for us. So we wanted to make sure that the partner that is coming on board with the Series A understands the business very well, and gives us the room to experiment and expand around the entire space that we are in. Because you can't really categorize us as an insurance company, you can't categorize us as a cyber security company. We are a category creator itself, right? A full stack cyber resilience. We're the first of the companies to do that in India, right? So that is basically where we sort of had those discussions, went through the entire process of understanding each other more than of course them understanding the business. It was always around them understanding the business, them understanding how exactly the things are going on in the business, and at the same time us also understanding how their thought process works, like how exactly they are creating the thesis around the investments. So investment for us was more like a partnership, wherein we know for a fact that what value that they will be, example, like Nexus Venture Partners being our Series A investors, what all values that they are bringing onto the table as well. And that was the most important aspect, and the trigger point for us as well to go. And they are an amazing partner to have.
Got it. Got it. Great. And from a very general context, what do you feel if you have to talk from the point of view of very, very early stage startups who have started, let's say, just hardly 1 or 2 years back? They're in the process of doing their MVP, right? Minimum viable
Yeah.
product, right? What is your suggestion to go for funding? At which stage do you feel they should think about getting the first level of funding, and why?
See, from a fundraise perspective, I mean, this is a very subjective question to what exactly you are building, right? If you're building an inherently profitable company where for a fact that the cash flows are going to look like completely different, a B2B company, when you're serving a large ticket size, when your ACVs are larger, at that point of time, in order to just get that initial scale, you don't need the funding on day one itself, right? But whereas in certain scenarios where you might have to spend a lot on R&D, you might have to spend a lot on the other things, you might have to spend some money to get your initial first clients itself. In those cases, you might need funding at a much earlier stage as compared to the companies who are sort of making money from day one itself, right? So that those two basic bifurcations happen. But when you talk about the stage where they should look in, is always wherever they themselves feel that the money is required for them to scale. But while saying that, there has to be some bit of confidence in the product, some bit of market understanding of folks who are already using it, some bit of feedback that has come in, and of course some bit of traction helps in terms of the revenue numbers as well.
Got it. Got it. Quite interesting. And to talk about your market intelligence, which is a daily requirement for most of the companies, right? How did you utilize the database of Tracxn over the last, let's say, the last few months or few years, right? In terms of either fundraising or market research, comp analysis, or business development. I would love to hear from your side.
Yeah. So we have been using Tracxn for since some time now, and there are 3-4 different bifurcations that we have done and different use cases that we are solving for. Primarily being the of course lead generation, understanding the customers, understanding the financials of the customers, understanding what exactly the customer is looking like, who all are the investors of those customers. It becomes very easy for us to understand when we are creating a sales pitch. So that becomes one part where we have been using Tracxn quite a lot. At the same time, of course, competitor analysis, understanding what exactly the existing trends are, what exactly the existing market trends around mergers and acquisitions, what exactly the market trends around fundraisers have been happening around the globe for different sectors, helps in quite a lot of other things as well, quite a lot of understanding on the market. And of course, market sizing, analyzing the market becomes one of the other use case that we use Tracxn for. But primarily being from the client profiling perspective or the customer profiling perspective, it becomes a really helpful tool. And in some cases, of course, that eventually creates a lead gen for us as well. So these are the couple of major use cases that we have been using Tracxn for, and it has been a wonderful experience with Tracxn so far.
Got it. Got it. So basically, you're saying it's more of a kind of sector research for yourself and the customer profiling,
Correct.
right? That you are able to do.
Correct.
Got it. Got it. Coming down to my last segment for today, and that's something which is very close to my heart. what would you suggest a 25-year-old startup buddy who is looking to solve something for India? How from where should he start? And any sort of suggestion you would love to give to that 25-year-old?
Scale it. So the first step that you always need to do is being, observant and look for problem statements. The reason we started Mitigator was not because we were passionate about, certain things. It was more from coming in directly from a problem statement that we faced as a customer, and then we kept on solving for that. Right? Happening, see problems which are very close to your heart. See problems which are very, close to in general environment where you are in, because that will be the easiest way for you to build scalable solutions. And of course, scalability is important as well. You can't have a problem statement which cannot scale, where the solution cannot scale. That could be a pet project for you, but if you have to build a business, then a meaningful business will also require some scale as well.
Absolutely, absolutely, very well said. Well, great. Thank you so much, Sarthak. I think it was a very brief but insightful discussion with you, right? Thanks a lot for giving us your precious time. I wish I could have taken this conversation forward, but due to your busy schedule, we'll have to cut short now. And goodbye to you till we meet next time, right? And wish you all the very best for your next sort of any kind of stuff that you're doing for your startup, right? Wish you all the very best.